Okay, I need to tell you. Yeah, I was about to say. If you want else, Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Positive.
They told me nothing happened in terms of the girl who dating happened, but I don't trust Jay at all.
back on the table. The reason is because when you have issues that you have not addressed, you begin to connect dots that might not even be there. The person says something, the person does something that for them this is something ordinary, this is something common. But because you are dealing with a past issue, you relate it to that past issue, you connect lines to a past issue, and then you make it bigger than what it is. And then the person is wondering, why are you exploding on this thing? And the person doesn't get why you are not you are reacting like this. And it's really unfair. Because as far as the person is concerned, this is all I did. It doesn't seem as big as how you are making it, because you have not put your unresolved issues on the table. So my recommendation, even if you have said it was fine before, bring it back, ask for a sit down. We need to have a conversation about this. If you are trying and it's not working, you've implemented the conflict resolution list that we've given you to work with and it's still not working, my immediate counsel will be get a third-party intervention. We get third-party interventions when our bodies don't work right. We call them doctors. Right. We get third-party interventions when our cars don't work right. Why do we think we can't do the same for our relationships?
True.
If we had all the answers, we will not be going through the problems.
No.
It's clear that we don't have the answers. So if we will get resource for other issues, if this is important, get a resource for it as well.
Thank you, Pastor Tim. So, Pastors Bailey and Bailey, let me put you on a spot for a moment.
Okay.
So, in this relationship,
Uh-oh.
who's the first to apologize?
Me. Me. I'm quick to say. I'm very quick to say I'm sorry.
Are you?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also very quick to say I'm sorry because she beats me if I know. No, that's a lie.
You know we're speaking to the world here, right? So, but Pastor Elgin, this really is something that people deal with. You know,
yes.
Someone has done something wrong, something has gone wrong, and the other one feels that they deserve an apology.
Yes.
The apology has not been given, or you've done something wrong and you haven't apologized, and you have a partner who is basically saying, this makes absolutely no sense. I will not forgive you until you ask for forgiveness. How do we handle this?
Well, in a situation like that, you see, it can be twofold. Because for the man, if something went wrong, there was a situation, an argument, for me, I'll make it a big thing, but for my spouse, it will not be a big thing. So I will seek, or I would want her to come and apologize. So being mature in the relationship, what I would suggest is for couples, is for the man to sit down and speak to his wife or his partner and say, you know what, this that happened, or what you said, or I did not feel comfortable with it. So, you know, they can discuss this. It's something that, you know, they can bring to the table, and they can then look at the resolution on how to do that. You know, in cases like that, because forgiveness comes from the heart, that is genuine forgiveness. Yeah. So unforgiveness, you know, it leaves bitterness on the tongue, you know, and bitterness on the tongue is nasty. So it will cause more chaos if you don't forgive than where you sit down, talk about the issue, say what you like, say what you don't like, how it made you feel, you're not comfortable with certain things, and you iron out the issues. So many couples do it differently because, you know, they will go the yell and the shout and the fighting. But a mature couple will look at this and say, you know what, I've been affected. My wife don't know that she's affected me or she's harmed me in a certain way, and she hasn't apologized about it. So I'm gonna make her aware. You know, I'm going to let her understand that this has made me feel uncomfortable, so I don't want to feel that way again, or there's certain things she's done or acted out in front of people, insulting or anything like that. Right. So you would rather just speak to her, come to an understanding, come to an agreement. Like my wife and I, we don't see each other's faults anymore. We rather see that it's learning curves between us. You know, we've been so long together. At first it was like that. Yes. But we've learned over the years how to compromise and discuss certain things that we are not comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that couples from the get-go speak to their spouses and say, we're not going to get into fights. Let us rather discuss. And
Let
then we
us-
can forgive.
Yeah.
And making
move
up
on.
is a good thing.
Making up can be beautiful. You're watching Tango and Tim. We're answering. Come on already. We're answering 24 questions that will inevitably come up at some point in your relationship. But I say come up, but some of them won't. Some of them are just perhaps questions that you want answers to for future reference. So, Tango and Tim is one of those programs that couples have really come to enjoy because it teaches us how to create harmony in our relationships. And, the dance of the tango is particularly sexy and flirtatious and seductive. And as Pastor Elgin just said, making up can be really, really lovely, for a married couple. But of course, let me not go there. We have other questions to answer. We need to get there because it's important that we understand
Yes.
that even as we respond to these questions, Pastor, that there is such beauty in marriage. And I think we really should be answering some of those. In fact, my next question, Pastor Charlene. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but Pastor Charlene sometimes gets really embarrassed about some of the things that we might discuss. So I want to know, Pastor Charlene, how do we play together?
Okay.
What kind of play?
What kind of play is good play, and how do you have fun together?
Okay.
I first want to know about your play.
Oh, you want to know
teasing.
about our play?
Yes, why not?
Okay, so so with the last tango anthem, or one of the tango anthems, we actually realized that we don't play. And we went through that whole entire a list of stuff that we discussed that night, and we realized that we really haven't given much focus to playing. Like we've kind of like ticked all the other boxes except playing, and the kids are the reason why we haven't played.
Right.
They suck the fun out of play because we've been so focused on the home and the careers and all of that. So how we play is we have a secret language
Ooh.
that we speak in front of our kids.
Ooh. Yeah, Pastor Tim sitting up
That
straight.
only the two of us know. So we can have a conversation and the kids can be there, but we're having secret words that we're speaking. So and it's a lot of fun because they don't know what we're saying or they don't understand the interpretation of it. And then we've got words that we also use to describe certain things. That is also a secret. Okay. And believe me, it is a lot of fun when you actually have that. We like the 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning where we having gossip session about our kids. That's fun for us. Okay? That is
Gossiping
fun for
about
us.
your children.
Yes, it is. And I think that a lot of the fun happens behind closed doors. And I think we also have...
Okay, shall I rescue you?
Yes, please. Please rescue me.
But even there's a couple listening to you now. There's a partner listening to you now who is saying, "You're right. My kids have sucked the fun out of the relationship, and I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah.
The bills, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The bills are paid.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's fun to be had, but I'm okay without it." We really need to bring that back, isn't it?
So we were at that point, and what we decided to do is really just enjoy what the other partner does enjoy doing. So he likes to go fishing. I make an effort to go with him and enjoy what he loves doing. and he knows I like to crochet, so he would literally, if I said I wanted to go and get some material, he would literally drive me there, have the basket there, and give his opinion on colors even, because it's something that's important to me.
Yes.
So he is showing me that he is supporting what I enjoy. So that's also a form of playing with each other as well. It really just strengthens your relationship as well. And then, of course, depending on where you are in your marriage and how long you've been married, it's also important if your spouse likes to go to a movie. One of the things that we now do since that Tango and Tom, we have secret rendezvous where we don't have the children with us. Because where we go out and they don't even know about it, and it's special to us. And we discovered that we really enjoyed it, and we've also now learned that it's important to go away without the children as well, where it's just about him and I learning to connect with each other without having to worry about anything else, because you kind of like ticked all those boxes. You've done all of that, and you need to have time for the two of you.
So, secret rendezvous, secret languages, intimacy, understanding that behind closed doors, or even in the midst of the children and everything else going on in your life, there is an opportunity to create intimacy, play games, and enjoy who you are as a couple. Pastor Tim, as relationships mature, some people will say that their sex life has exploded. It's like, flashes in the air like it's 4th of July, even 40 years in. But for others, it's not even a match. It can get boring, but it doesn't have to be boring, right?
No. It's not supposed to be boring. The truth is, everything that you do consistently you run the risk of it becoming boring. I mean, that's a reality. And one man put it like this to me, about 2 years ago. He said, "Who enjoys eating the same meal over and over again?" I had to say to him, "Pause. Are you trying to hint me at something? Are you, what are you saying without saying, But the reality is, boredom is expected, and there are things that you can do to actually navigate away from there. I think sometimes when it comes to sex, particularly between a married couple, if you are not careful, you forgo foreplay. You forgo all the things that should happen before the actual activity. I know for us men, we know that it's going to end up in the bedroom, and so you expect that, look, get on with it, Whereas for a woman, we must admit that sex starts with the mind. It starts in the mind. A lot of times for us, in a lot of ways, it tends to not be as difficult to turn a man on. We are very strongly visual beings. If the right visuals are available to us. I mean, I said to my wife today that she looked like a snack. And I said, scratch that. She looks like 7 colors. When you do seven colors on the plate. I said, and I was already excited. No offense to any single that are watching. I was already like, look, this Tango and Tim is a nuisance. Where by the time I looked at her. But for her, to get her in the mood, you need to start at the beginning of the day, where you are saying the right words, and I don't want to corrupt some of our singles that are watching, but there are some right words where you're already sending messages saying, when you, oh goodness, should I say that?
No. And I'm not even conservative.
Should I go there?
No.
You see, but sometimes sex becomes redundant also in a marriage because there might be a medical problem. It might not be a case of a person not being excited or excitable. It might be a case that you need to go see your doctor. You need to go see your doctor and have them examine you. Maybe there is something wrong there. Also, interestingly enough, there are natural remedies that are actually available that help boost your libido. I'm not talking about the blue pill. I'm talking about some very healthy, not as many side effects that are available that you can take that could help boost that libido. I also want to mention this. Now, this might not be found as favorable amongst my fellow pastoral fraternity, all right? But there are some times where you might need to go see it sounds like a misnomer of terms. You might need to go see a sex therapist, a godly sex therapist. I remember I told a pastor friend of mine, you need to see a godly sex therapist. He says those two words don't go together. Say those two words cannot be used in the same sentence. You know, go see a godly sex therapist.
Yeah.
That will help you. Saints, listen. You can make this sex thing work. Have you tried sex in the kitchen, on the kitchen table? Make sure you sanitize afterwards. Have you tried it in other places other than the bedroom? You see, sex always in the bedroom can get tiring and ridiculous and boring. You know, hey, like,
Preach it, Pastor. Preach it.
you know, you need to make this thing happen. Just sitting. Kemi and I were sitting together in the car, you know, and what were we doing? And the car was shaking. We're doing something. We're dancing. The music came on, and we're dancing in the car, and the car was shaking. And I said to her, you know, the car only shakes for two reasons. It shakes because you're dancing or if you're having sex. And then she laughed, and I looked at her and said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" you know, I'm serious. You can make it work. But if you've tried some of look, we're saying some things in jest, but they say serious things are sometimes said in jest. So I'm hoping you're paying attention. But if you've tried all of this and it's not working, go and see a sex therapist. Again, make sure it's a godly one. I've seen some crazy ones out there that will begin to suggest that you go watch pornography together.
Wow.
That will begin to suggest that have you tried a third, you know, let's try a tris. Let's go into a threesome. Let's try a threesome. You see, those ones are straight from hell, and that's not our recommendation at all. But there are those who will really introduce you on things, on places to touch. You know, there are erogenous areas that you touch in the woman, that you touch in the man. And when you are having sex, do not be afraid to say, "Don't do that, I don't like it." Sometimes people are too embarrassed. You dislike what the person is doing, but you don't say it. And the person keeps doing it, and the person feels like they deserve an award, that they just rocked your boat. And yet you're thinking, that was horrible. You know, but how would they know if you did not? We have camera people here, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, there are too many single people here. Close your ears.
Let's count them.
Don't be moved. You know, but it's so important. They will tell you the areas, and tell your husband, tell your wife, touch me here. And when they touch you there, and you are feeling the excitement, and you want to leave, and you are not ready, tell them, stay there. Don't be in a hurry. No rush. No rush. Bite me there. Oh God. Listen, let's leave. Let's go. Let's leave now.
No, we can't.
Kimmy.
We can't leave. This is
Example, generally. It's a good example.
no one's leaving. This is your show, so you're not going anywhere. There is something that can impact the bedroom, and actually quite negatively, and that is concerns about money. Worries about money can really create quite a lot of havoc in a household. Pastor Kemi, it's one thing to have, for example, let's say one has separate accounts, but if you don't know what's going on in each other's finances, it's very hard to know what you're building.
I think, in a marriage, we need to understand that marriage is a partnership. It's two halves making one whole. And I get that you have separate accounts, but you need to see it as not my money and your money, it's our money. I don't understand couples that say it's my money and his money, I use my money for that, his money for that. It's our money. You may have separate accounts, but the money belongs to both of you. It doesn't matter who earns more and who earns less. You need to understand that the money is both yours and it's one pot. And so you need to make decisions together. You need to be open about how money is being spent, what money is being spent on, how you save, have a budget. But these things have to be discussed. You don't make decisions in isolation of your partner. You have to bring the partner in to discuss how money should be spent. And Pastor Tim talked about openness, earlier on. You need to be open in the area of your finances. For a marriage to work, in the area of money, there has to be openness. You cannot just make decisions in isolation and do whatever you like. You need to speak about money, sit together, have a monthly budget, say this is where money is going this month, this is how we're going to save money this month, this is how we're going to make, this investment. But there has to be openness. You cannot run your account in isolation, let the other person know what you're doing with your money. So it's very important for men and women to be open about how much they spend, how much they earn. I don't understand how a partner doesn't know how much the other partner earns.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. It may make sense to you, so I'm sorry. But for me, I need to know how much you're making. You need to know how much I'm making so we can make plans together, because we are a partnership. And if we're not a partnership, then this ship is going nowhere. And so it's very important that as partners, as spouses, we are completely open. And if you're single, well, you can't exactly ask whoever you're dating to tell you how much he or she earns, but you need to talk about finances, talk about, okay, when we get married, how are we going to pay the bills, who's going to pay what, how are we going to, save, how are we going to appropriate our funds. But these are things that need to be discussed even before marriage, because money can breed a lot of resentment and fights in marriage.
True.
Yeah.
So openness is key. And seeing each other as a team. The most important thing, you're a team. You are one. The money is for both of you. It's not my money. You can be making R1 million a month and I'm making 10,000 rand. That R1 million is my money. Amen. Hallelujah. And even if there's only one breadwinner.
All the women said,
Amen. And if there's only one breadwinner in the family, you still need to discuss finances. Don't say because I'm the one bringing in all the money, the other party doesn't have to know what's going on in our finances. It's a marriage. It's a partnership. So there has to be openness, complete openness.
Yeah. Complete openness, partnership. All of these are so important when it comes to disagreements, Pastor Aldrin, and fights. Because, when it comes to fights, there are people who like to nitpick. They like getting in each other's faces. It's unfortunate. People call each other names and they say all is fair in love and war. But is it really?
No, not actually, because hurling insults and calling each other names is a sign of abuse.
Oh.
See, that is a sign of abuse. And basically what happens is emotionally, one partner can be hurt by what you are saying or what you are calling him or her. So at the end of the day it's affecting the marriage. It's affecting the partnership. Calling names and hurling insults, basically it's demeaning each other.
Yeah.
It's putting each other down. So for me, it's not all fair in love and war, and calling each other names, because simply it affects the marriage. And what happens is there's a portion of trust that is also broken between the partnership, and it takes quite a while to rebuild, because it shows a sign of disrespect. So the solution to that is that you need to basically take a look at yourself, recognize what I'm doing to my partner, because this is the woman that I love and I'm hurting, or this is the man that I love and I'm hurting him by calling him names. Because remember, they can forgive you, but people don't forget, unless you don't remind yourself of it constantly. But we are people like that, like the invisible handbag. As soon as there's another argument, screaming and shouting match, insulting, they bring it out again. Yeah, remember the last time you called me this, you said that, you did this. So it's stirring up the pot all over again.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that. There is solutions to that. If it continues, you basically, don't let it escalate to a point where it is shouting and screaming. If there's an argument, discuss it with each other and say, let us come to an agreement that if we are going to do this, we are going to do it in a mature manner.
Yeah.
And if you feel it's flaring up, do something. Either say, let us call it off, let us cool off, and we'll discuss this later.
Yeah.
So there is ways to remedy that, but hurling and screaming and shouting and calling each other names, that is pure sign of abuse that starts from it, because it can turn violent.
Yeah. And it's difficult to come back
because
from time to
someone can give you a name that you really don't like.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
then you
And
start
then
and
you'll
you want
never
to grab the person and you push the person, and then it's a tug of war. You push me first, you touch me, a slap goes out, and that's how the abuse starts.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's not fair. It shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
As mature couples or young married couples,
Yeah.
they should discuss this or go for intervention, get help,
Yeah.
go for counseling. That is why the best thing we recommend at the City of Zion for couples that is dating, about to get married, is go for counseling, because these are things that we lay on the table. These are things that we discuss. These are things that we educate people, because how do you know what you're getting into if you don't learn what you're getting into?
Right.
I need to just stress. Sorry, are you done? Sorry.
Yes, you can go ahead.
I need to mention this to every single one that is out there. Please understand, you are not yet married. The person is already making you feel unsafe. You are not yet married. The person is already laying their hands on you.
Or making you feel small with their words.
Yes, you
Yes.
know, the person is already belittling your dreams.
Yeah.
The person, you are with the person and you are having to hide parts of you
Yeah.
so that the person is comfortable. You are having to diminish yourself so that the person's ego is not compromised. Something is wrong. What are you looking for? Is the sex that great that you are willing to lose your mind and get into a relationship that makes sense? If you are single, you should not even be having sex in the first place. You need to understand, right, that if it's already compromised before marriage, it gets worse in marriage if you do not address it. If before marriage, for example, he already lays a hand on you, or she already lays a hand on you, or she already throws something like a projectile at your head, listen, that is not a sign. That is the sun, the moon, and the heavens.
Run.
Run. And that relationship is going nowhere, and if it goes somewhere, it's going to the grave site. Are we together on this?
Yeah.
Please, there are strategies that are available to learn how to fight fair.
Yeah.
Because there will be disagreements.
Yeah.
course.
Definitely.
But it doesn't, this is not your enemy. And that's the thing you need to remember. Do you know, what does it benefit you if you win all the arguments?
Yeah.
And then you lose your marriage?
Well,
Right.
one way.
But you've won the trophy. You won every argument. What's the gain in that?
Yeah. Sorry, Pastor. One of the ways that you can actually fight fair is it's in your playing. You could literally tease your partner on their faults in a fun, loving space. So it's part of playing, but I'm letting you know how you behave, or there's something that I don't like about you, but I tease you about it. Maybe a flaw that you have, and the person is likely to receive that information quite calmly. And it literally takes the sting out of criticism when you actually do that.
I hear you there.
Yeah.
We need to be careful with that, though. You see, when the Baileys say that, let's not forget that they've been married for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right? Both parties must be convinced
Yeah.
about the love of the other one.
You better know it's
That
a
the
game.
other one has their best interest at heart.
Yeah, no.
So they know that this is a game, this is play. I mean what I'm saying. You should take note of it, but I am not attacking you.
Yes.
Because then that works. Because yes, it's what I said earlier on. There are some things, important things that are said in jest.
Yes.
And you deliberately say them in jest so that it doesn't have the sting,
Right.
but the person hears you nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right? So if you are in a war with your spouse, there is a war going on right now, get intervention.
Absolutely.
It's a terrible thing, Pastor Jerry, to not get intervention and then to say something that becomes a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And it is possible.
Yeah.
To say something that all of a sudden you have apologized, you guys have made up, but the person keeps going back to it because you touched a nerve,
Yeah.
a major raw nerve. It is avoidable.
Yeah.
We can deal with that if we will be willing to learn to fight fair, and we can do that. We can.
Pastor, just on that, before we move on to the next question, most importantly is also, if you are trying to resolve your anger issues and the fighting, is to monitor your emotions. Because you know the level of your anger and your frustration. So try to teach yourself that if I get to this point, I have to do something that is not going to explode. So that is my final
Very
say
true.
on that.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very
I
true.
used to call it the green card, red card
Oh wow, I like that.
system, so
Yeah.
that you understood completely. If your partner were to put up a card, you knew that you went too far with them.
Yeah.
For example, if you're not married for 30 years and you didn't get the game, so that your partner knows that maybe and so that you can red card or green card yourself, so that you know that you've gotten into red. Generally means bad, danger, not a good space. Pastor Kimmy, you know, I think this goes both ways. The thing about feeling like you're not always a priority to someone, that you play second fiddle. You know, they had this conversation with someone just recently where they said, I could never date a guy who loves sport, who watches sport every weekend. And I said, what makes you can love a guy? It just depends on how people bring their hobbies, these other elements into their relationships. But there are people who have a problem. They play second fiddle to the extended family. They play second fiddle to the wife's friends. I mean, there are so many examples that one can give where the one partner just doesn't feel as though they're being included.
Yeah, that's very true. And the first thing with that situation is that you need to listen to your partner, your spouse. If your spouse tells you that they feel like they come second to your family or to your job or your business or your friend, you listen. What normally happens is that the one spouse either gets defensive or just downplays, and the person just looking for attention. You just want attention all the time. That's why you complain. But you need to validate your wife or your husband's feelings when he says, I feel like a second fiddle.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so, especially in the African culture where, we love our parents and our siblings, it's very easy for you to not hear the voice of your wife and allow the voice of your parents or your siblings to be louder than the voice of your wife. And that is so wrong, because the Bible says that when you marry, the two have become one flesh. The man leaves his family and cleaves to his wife. So the most important voice in your life should be the voice of your spouse.
Yeah.
Not the voice of your mother and your father. I'm sorry, for saying that, but it is the truth. Yes, we love our parents. We honor them till their death. We take care of them. We take care of our family. But your wife or your husband must not take second position to your spouse. To your family or to your job or to PlayStation, because there's some men that spend the whole weekend just playing PlayStation, or playing soccer with their friends. Yes, there's a place for men to hang out, go spend time with your friends, but your wife must never feel like her voice is not being heard, or your husband must not feel like his voice is not being heard because you're always having a girls' night out or a girls' getaway or a girls' weekend away, and your spouse just feels like they are not important to you. We must ensure that our partners don't feel like they're second fiddle. And if they do share these concerns with you, don't become defensive. Don't downplay how they feel. Have a discussion about it and ask them, okay, so what can I do to make you feel like you have a voice or you are important in this relationship or in this marriage?
It makes me think about the next comment, Pastor Charlene, because sometimes people do feel like they can treat you like the second fiddle because they are doing more in the relationship.
Yeah.
They have, can we call it a power role in the relationship, and so they feel like, can you just be grateful?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Pastor? Can you just be grateful for the time I do give you?
Yeah, I get that.
Because I'm carrying this family.
Right.
So I take some time out. So what?
Yeah, so for me, when somebody expresses that they feel that they are carrying the load, they obviously comparing their responsibilities within the relationship, and they're putting a value on what they bring to the table. And in your marriage, there's no me, myself, and I. It's a partnership. Each one came into that relationship with a skill, an ability, finances. They came with something. They brought something to the table, and
you bought into it because of that
correct.
something.
So you bought into that relation, that person, because they contributed something. Now 6, 7, 8 years down the line, you start comparing what your value is in that relationship, and that's looking for trouble, because it's also showing that you are not respecting your spouse. You don't value what they bring to the table. If I can be a little bit more specific, we spoke about money earlier on, Pastor Kemi. You said that it's one pot. It goes into the pot. We together decide what is going to be used with the money, how we're going to be spending it. And if I can use money as the one spouse earning and then the other spouse maybe not working, that spouse might be bringing value in terms of the nurturing of the children, the raising of the home, the cooking, the cleaning, and the psychological support that doesn't normally have a monetary value to it, because you can't really see it initially. So it just depends. You just have to respect each other in terms of you bringing this value to the relationship. This value isn't more than that value, because if you value your money as more important than your wife looking after your children, then there's a problem. Stop comparing, stop self-reflecting. You're not alone in this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Pastor Tim, one of my favorite Tango and Tim sessions, and I still tell people about it all the time, was the conversation you had with us about love languages. I learned, my husband and I have an intimate, beautiful relationship, but that evening it was as though we discovered things about each other that we knew, but it was like, that's right, that is my love language. It was self-discovery, but it was also discovering more about each other. So for people who don't know what the love language is, crash course, real quick. Quick, Pastor Tim. Not a sermon, just quick.
I hope we can. Everybody has a love language.
Yeah.
The sad thing is sometimes we express love to a person in our love language. We actually express love to others the way we want to receive love. And then we wonder why they are not also impressed. You know, a person, you love receiving gifts, and so you begin to buy gifts, a lot of gifts for your spouse. And then you realize, but they don't get as excited. They don't seem, you're not getting kind of appreciation that you want to get. And the reason is because you are speaking to them in your language and not in their language. And learning a person's love language is not difficult. I mean, the individual that wrote the book, let me give you the 5 love languages. One of them is quality time. Another one is receiving gifts. Another one is acts of service. That's my wife. She is a strong acts of service. Maybe because she's an economist, buying a lot of gifts. You know, she likes gifts. She does. She really appreciates them. But I noticed that there's a sparkle in her eye when she's supposed to do something and I help her do it, because that's her love language. And then there's physical touch. I know that's a key love language of mine. So I'm sure you can guess. You know, it's a key love language of mine. When you understand, and we have a test. It's unfortunate now that we are on this platform, so we can't give you the test. But we have a test that we put people through. At the end of the test, it isolates your core love language. The truth is, all the factors, all the things that I've just mentioned, quality time, receiving gifts, physical touch, we all like them. We all want them. They are all important to us. But the key here is to know the ones that are primary. What is your primary love language? Now, love languages change. For couples who have been married for a period of time, one of the things that I have noticed over the last 16 years of working with couples is when you deal with a couple when they were like in their first or second year of marriage, because this particular aspect of their life was neglected, maybe in their childhood or whatever, maybe quality time. They didn't grow up in a home where there was quality time. And so that's their love language. Then let's say the spouse begins to meet that love language. I notice when I bump into them 7 years later, and we have a conversation about what's going on, guess what then happens? When we do the same test to them, their love language has changed.
Yeah.
Why? Because this love language has been met. All right? Because this love language has been met over time, it's no longer a big deal. And another love language has come alive. All right? So it's okay if all of a sudden, and we see this happen a lot, where a spouse wakes up one morning and goes, no, but you've changed. Yes. I was expected to change. And that's why we're in this together, where you are supposed to work with me, and we are changing together, and I don't want to use the term monitoring. I think I should use the word observing each other. And it's a dance. When suddenly I've moved from the left side of the hall to the right side, you noticed and you moved with me.
Right.
And it was not an event, it was a process. We moved there together, and it's possible.
So, Pastor, love languages can change.
Oh yes, it really does change. It really does change.
So you have to be tuned in.
This is why I normally will say, every 3 to 4 years, do the test again. Every 3 to 4 years, do the love languages test again. You will be surprised that when it was words of affirmation before, it's suddenly now receiving gifts. When it changes like that, just know it is because in that area you have been negligent. And so it has now, but give yourself a bells, because it means in the other area, in that initial area, you've actually met the need.
Right.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So it helps. Let me give you the list again. It's word of affirmation, it's quality time, it's receiving gifts, it's acts of service, and then it's physical touch. All right? Those are the 5 love languages.
Okay. Pastor Kemi, there's a term called pet peeves. It's those little things you almost feel uncomfortable getting upset about them, but you get upset about them anyway. And, sometimes they start out small, or your partner actually thinks it's small, but to you it's really, really big. And it's worrisome, because are these things worth tackling? Are they worth having the conversation about? How big can they become? What can magnify them?
Yeah. So pet peeves, for those who don't know what pet peeves are things that irritate you about your spouse. Small things or big things. Could be things like he presses the toothpaste from the middle instead of the bottom. He doesn't doesn't close the toothpaste. When he uses the bathroom, he doesn't put the toilet seat down.
I hope you know she's just giving examples.
I'm giving examples.
All right, these are just examples, general examples.
She leaves her clothes on the floor, or she slams doors. I know that's my I slam doors. That's a big pet peeve for me.
My husband loves me. I know he does.
So they're just things that irritate you about your spouse, and sometimes you discuss them with your spouse, and you don't see any change, and you begin to get irritated about them. One thing I've learned in 17 years of marriage is that I need to choose my battles. It's not every issue should be made into a problem. Not every molehill should be made into a mountain. True. Ask yourself, this thing that this person does, is it big enough for me to want to start a war about it? Okay, so he presses the toothpaste from the middle. How can I resolve them? Buy 2 toothpastes. He has his own, I have my own.
From the middle.
Things like
take this somewhere.
Yes,
ask yourself, is this a big enough issue for me to want to make a fight out of it? And and just learn to choose your battles. Like the issue of slamming doors. I don't hear when I slam the doors, or my husband it grates his skin, but I'm better now. And I know that when I slam doors, he doesn't complain as much as before, because he has just chosen to love me with all of my issues, all of my baggage, and And so it's like, can I survive with this little thing? Is it such a big deal that I want to become resentful towards my husband or towards my wife about it? And on the flip side, whoever is the person causing the pet peeve, if you're the one who slams the doors, or the one who leaves your clothes on the floor, or you're messy and your wife had spoken to you about it several times, why would you not change? This is someone that you love. Why can't you marriage is about compromise. How hard is it for you to remember to pick up that sock from the floor, pick up your shoes and put them where they're supposed to be? It may take time for you to get there, but make that effort. Listen to your spouse when they complain about things. And marriage is about change. We grow, we mature, we adapt to each other. Yes, there are pet peeves. Yes, you can survive, but the other person also should make an effort to also meet you halfway in resolving those issues. And sometimes those pet peeves are talking with Pastor Jerry about this yesterday. Those pet peeves sometimes are, like she mentioned, signs of a deeper issue. There may already be issues in that marriage beyond the pet peeve, and because you're already upset with your spouse, any small thing that person does triggers anger, triggers resentment, and so it may be that you need to resolve some unresolved issues.
Yes.
And then those big things, those little things won't seem so big anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
There's something deeper when he leaves his socks on the ground, and instead of you picking it up and putting it in the wash, you put it in the garbage. There's a problem, and you need to be called
beyond
Pastor
just
Tim.
the sock on the floor.
Pastor Elchin, Pastor Kimmy did start talking about choosing your battles.
Absolutely.
And keeping peace in your home and creating harmony is so much about not sweating the small stuff.
There is, yes. It's just like she said. She mentioned the pet peeves. So those are the small things. But choosing your battles is basically looking at the deeper rooted things in the relationship, where you will actually take time to speak to your partner about it, and let go of the things. Life is short, and we can't make an issue out of everything.
Yeah.
Why did you leave the socks here? Why is your slippers not in the cupboard? Why is we can't cry about that, but there is deeper issues and deeper rooted issues that can actually help you redirect your marriage into a healthier space or into a healthier area. So like Pastor Kevin mentioned, the pet peeves is there. It's that irritatable things that is, but the choosing your battles is basically selecting the things that is actually deeply rooted and affecting you and affecting your marriage. So you have to take an opportunity to sit down with your partner and say, like, this is what is bothering me. This is what is currently happening. We're having challenges in this area, or things are not working for us. Is there other ways or other methods that we can try and resolve this? So, choosing your battles, you have to look deeply into what is actually affecting you. You gotta choose also the right things to discuss.
Right.
It can't be petty things that you want to blow up and say, but this is a thing affecting me. Be mature about what you want to discuss.
But if it is petty, but to you it's not, I guess you'd like your partner to at least acknowledge it, even if it doesn't become a complete conversation, just a little bit of an acknowledgement.
That is
will make a
what
difference.
Pastor Kemi also mentioned, that they will respect you for making it, aware to them.
Right,
You
giving it some
understand?
consideration.
Exactly.
Okay.
Pastor Tim, the parental issues, how to parent, who parents. We live in a society where there are just so many children who aren't in the home with both parents, and it's become so rife and so dramatic that it's now called baby mama or baby daddy drama. It's a thing, and couples have to attempt to work through it. But how? There's an ex, there's a child, there's you. It can get tough.
No, it really can. You see, this is why we always insist that you need to do counseling before you get married. And there is a whole session that we put couples through when you are going to be in a blended family, because that's what it's called. You are now in a blended family. So you are married, and you have kids from previous relationships that are now living with you, or they come from time to time, to live with you. We must remember that there are rules that you should abide by. For example, who disciplines the child? One of the common rule of thumb when it comes to disciplining a child that is not your biological child, that is your stepchild, is normally we will say both parties should discipline the child, but the one that should mete out the discipline should be the biological parent. So, for example, Kemi and I, let's say we have a child. I brought in a child that is not ours, and then the child misbehaves, and the child misbehaved towards Kemi. When Kemi will rebuke the child, but when if it's a discipline is supposed to be meted out, she'll wait till I come back. We will sit together with the child. Watch this. We'll sit together with the child. We will itemize what the child did wrong, and then I will mete out the discipline. If it was her child brought into the relationship, we will sit together again with the child, and then she will mete out the discipline. The reason is because the discipline of a child is a sensitive issue. How many of you will know when your child comes home and tells you that a teacher smacked her?
Yo.
You don't care what your child did wrong.
No.
If you're a proper parent, you don't give a flying fig what your child did wrong. How many of you have been in that situation before where we have two beautiful kids together, and it's interesting to note that when I hear Kemi, for example, disciplining my daughter, maybe she has a raised voice at Jade or she has a raised voice at Jason, I feel uncomfortable. It's amazing, and she's the biological mother, and yet I feel uncomfortable. And she says she feels exactly the same way, thinking maybe you shouldn't shout that loud, maybe it wasn't that bad. You know why? Because when it's your child, there is, if you're raised right, there should be a default desire to protect them.
Yeah.
So imagine when it is not the biological parent trying to discipline your child. The escalation of emotion you will feel will be amazing. This is why we say that let the biological child, preferably in the presence of the other of the other party, so that the child sees that we are a team. We are in concert with each other. We are together in this. Remember also that children play on emotions.
Yeah.
They do.
They do. Children with their biological parents. They will ask this one something. This one says no. They will go to the other parent. They won't tell the other parent, I just asked this. Then the other parent says, oh no, it's fine, go ahead. And the minute that person says go ahead, they quickly do it. And then the parent says, but I said you shouldn't, but daddy said I could. You know, they play parents against each other. How much more when it's not, these are not their, one of them is not their biological parent. That means that manipulation can cause unbelievable escalations in the relationship. It's also the reason why I always strongly recommend go and read books. See, if what I know about parenting, the kids that are with us are our biological kids. With what I know about parenting, let me put it this way, if what I know about parenting is 11 out of 20, if you are going to have children from a previous relationship or marriage in there, you better know 15 or 16 out of 20. You need to know more because your dynamics are different, and you'll be shocked. There are books out there. Oh my goodness. There is material out there. If you need the material, send us a message. We will send you links. Go buy those material, on Amazon. They will bless you. They will help you know that, okay, don't cross the line here. And this you are not doing wrong. You know, there are times you do the right thing, but the reaction of the child makes you feel as if maybe I was too hard. Maybe I went overboard. You know, so it's good to know what are the general rules of thumb, so that even when the child begins to manipulate, you control your emotions. You can't stop them, but you don't let them lead you to then compromise the child because you are just trying to be nice. I'll say this to every parent, whether it's your biological child or not. You are not your child's best friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless your child is now an adult. You are not your child's best friend.
Not even then.
That is not your mission at all. You are the parent. We
right.
are friendly, but do not confuse our friendliness with our responsibility.
Yeah.
I am friendly, but I have a responsibility, and that responsibility does not change, irrespective. All right? But there are ways you can navigate. you can ensure. Oh, something else. When there's a baby mama, baby daddy, you need to also decide who does that external individual relate with. Who should they relate with? It's a bit tricky when your husband has a baby mama or your wife has a baby daddy, and when they need something, they keep calling you. Do you know how difficult it is when you pick up your wife's phone for any reason or your husband's phone for any reason and you see 21 missed calls from the ex? I don't know how strong you are. It causes a problem. And you're wondering, what are they on about? And then you see this call was 3 minutes, this one was 2 minutes, that one was 5. What on earth were you people on about? And so one of the things that we normally will say is, if possible, when they need something, they should relate with the other spouse, not with the one that they were in a relationship with or married to. They should relate with, for example, if there's a baby mama in my life, God forbid, listen, they should relate with Pastor Kenny. They should call Pastor Kenny. You see, again, this is why, right? We must mature in our marriage. So that when Pastor Kemi receives that call, she doesn't say, hello, B. Okay, so I can't swear on camera. So, you
can't swear, period.
Okay, I can't swear.
You say you can't, you don't.
I know. So she picks up the phone and then just starts the introduction with a swear word. It's not, that's why we mature.
Cuts her down with my words.
Are we together? I hope. Look, we've mashed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I promise you, there are rules of engagement.
But Pastor, what you've just spoken about also leads to the next issue, Pastor Charlene, and that is the issue of accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Because being accountable to each other makes that communication or handing over that communication to your spouse with your ex easy, because
everything's on the table.
Because everything is on the table.
Right, 100%. I mean, it is something that you need to install in your marriage. Even before, when you left home or when you were at home, your parents had to show you how to be accountable for your actions. And you take that as you become a young adult. So when you're single, you do certain things in a certain way because that is the right way of doing things. So when you take that into your marriage, it's expected that we are going to be open, we're going to be transparent, we're going to be honest with each other, and we're going to respect each other, and it's going to display in our actions as well, because accountability is basically your actions now being exposed. I mean, whatever you do, it's on the table, and you need to give an account for it. And if you have a healthy relationship with your spouse, and you value your relationship, you don't have a problem with your spouse holding you accountable for your actions. In actual fact, it's a safety net for you. You shouldn't see it as you badgering me or you insulting me. You should receive that correction with love, because I'm not going to let my husband do something that eventually afterwards is going to reflect on me as well. So you safeguard the way you did that.
Yes.
If you continue to do that, it's going to affect me as well. And I don't think you should handle it that way, or you shouldn't be speaking to that lady in that manner, because what I see from her is not what you're seeing. So hold them accountable, let them know on the spot what's happening, and he should be able to take what is coming and vice versa.
And having someone to be accountable to and being held accountable, it could actually be a soft place to fall.
100%.
You know, this is why we say to singles, one of the things that you must look out for with the woman or with the man you're interested in is, do they have somebody that can talk to them? Somebody whose opinion matters to them.
Yeah.
You have no idea how important this is. I actually rate the importance of having someone that can talk to them and whose opinion they value as right up there next to, are they born again? Do they love Jesus? After we've settled whether they love Jesus or not, the next question usually on my mind is not if they have a job, it's not if they have a vision going anywhere. Do they have somebody that can hold them accountable? we have seen that when anybody, and this is anybody, is given power without accountability, everybody, nobody is exempt, becomes a tyrant.
True.
Whether it's a husband or a wife, whether it's a child, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a politician, anyone given power without accountability becomes tyrannical in behavior. And so it's very important for us to have people that hold us accountable. My wife knows certain individuals that are at my peer level, that if we're having issues, she will call them and they have my ear. Then she knows individuals that are at my mentor level that she will call and say, Pastor Tim, my husband has lost his mind. Could you talk to him? That when they reach out to me, I value their impression of me. And so because I value it, I am willing to not just listen, but willing to make amends before she even reaches them. It's necessary for us to always be accountable to someone.
Yeah.
I hope this is so key for all of us to pay attention to.
Yeah. Pastor, the one area in which we need to hold ourselves accountable is the managing of our own emotions.
Yes.
It's so very important.
Yes.
When you strike out in anger and you striking out toward others, and in this space toward your family, it is you need to wrap yourself. You need to be mature enough to wrap yourself over the knuckles.
It's important to be, we call it mindfulness.
Yes.
Where you are mindful of yourself. You know, where you are aware of what you are feeling. Because what you are feeling, good or bad, is displayed in your actions.
True.
Is displayed in your behavior. When we don't manage our emotions, and our emotions are caustic, our emotions are broken, our emotions are, whether it's an emotion of anger, rage, or whatever, when we don't manage that, we take it out on the innocent. So you are at work, for example, and somebody caused you to have a bad day, but you don't learn how to manage that emotion, how to sometimes even learn how to compartmentalize it. You don't learn how to do that. You take that feeling of brokenness, you take that feeling of betrayal, you take that feeling of being belittled. Maybe your boss belittled you at work, and then you go home, and then your wife says you forgot to buy bread, and in your mind what you hear is, she's also looking down on me, she's saying there are things that I don't do, I'm not fulfilling, and your wife is saying, all I asked about was you didn't buy, in short, it's okay, I'll go buy it, and you just go off the handle because there is no mindfulness. You are not conscious of how you feel. A lot of times people talk about the man losing his temper. I've seen women who don't know how to manage their emotions with respect to crying.
No, but crying works.
No, you see, that's the problem.
I can manage
I know
it.
my husband has said
Turn it on, turn it off.
We can't have a meaningful conversation to address important issues because once I touch a nerve, she begins to cry. And she knows that once she begins to cry, I feel guilty. I feel irresponsible. I feel like I'm failing our relationship. And then I just agree with whatever she's putting on the table. And then I regret it. And then we start all over again. I said it's the same thing. It's called manipulation. It's called bullying. It's called bullying. Not every bully slaps you. Some bully cry their way into getting you to do what they want you to do. I see some people in this room nodding their heads. It's a good thing your spouses are not here to see you. And this is why there are courses that you can take to teach you emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is so necessary, where you channel the energy. Because it is energy. Emotions is energy.
Yeah.
You channel the energy in a positive way. I need to close that thought with this. Wounded people wound people.
True.
Broken people break people. If you are broken and it's causing a lot of pain on your inside, whether by your spouse or by whoever else, and you don't get healing, you don't get some form of help with respect to it, it is like when you get a gash on your hand and you are bleeding. If you don't treat it, you will put blood stains on people who did not cut you because you are bleeding everywhere. And there are some people that are just bleeding everywhere. It is expedient that you call up someone and you get help. Actually, before we continue, I want us to get the details, because when we talked about physical violence, possible physical violence
Yeah.
and gender-based violence, can we get the phone numbers of the organizations? There are organizations that we have, particularly in South Africa. Unfortunately, if you're watching in other parts of the world, we don't have your details. But in South Africa, I want us to put the phone numbers on screen. There are WhatsApp numbers. There's one that you can SMS Brave to on WhatsApp, and somebody will begin to engage you. There are phone lines to call. I need us to get, also put if you can, put the numbers for the suicide hotline. Put it there. We need to take advantage of these resources. They are there. Let's use them. Let's stop acting like I'm helpless. I don't know what to do. No, you know what to do. You've chosen not to do it.
True.
Yeah.
Chosen not to.
Sure.
Oh, that's a lot. But Pastor Aldrin, you know, there's the, you know, when I think of generosity, I think of giving of oneself, love, resources. I think of so many things, but there are people who can't seem to give. It's about the love language. Can't seem to give the partner generously of what it is they desire. How do I make my partner understand what it is that I need? And how do we help couples understand that generosity is part of the tango? It's part of the dance.
Absolutely. You see, that we look on a broad spectrum, because generosity comes in many forms and ways.
Yes.
So if it comes to the household, the family, like the question, you know, is like, why do I always have to ask for things extra? It boils down to the money issue, the finances. So what happens is bills are paid, anything extra, you know, the cost is covered and everything. Life is good, marriage is well, but now what happens is we stay within the budget, or we are limited to certain amounts that we can spend. So in this instance, it's not that your spouse or your partner is like they say the Grinch, or he's the stingy one. It's about working together on this. So you don't have to let your wife beg or your partner beg for certain things. You can discuss it. So, you know, we don't currently have the finances right now, but let us, you know, put away some money this month or next month, and then we get it. We had some instances way back with the in-laws, with my brother and his family, where his sister-in-law went to go and purchase things and hide it away from her husband. You know, and
That's happened.
yeah, so
That's happened.
and he was nonetheless wiser, and he's like, hey, wait, no, yes, I've got this like 2-3 months already. You remember the last time we bought? So she would deceive him in a way, you know. So like I said, the generosity, and she did it because he was very strict with the budget, and he was a guy that could plan it. You know, if you want something, we are not going to break our necks. We're not going to, you know, break the bank to get it for you. But let us discuss it. And there is ways and means of getting that.
Yeah.
But I feel that you shouldn't let your wife beg, your partner beg. You know, if I want something and I know it's expensive, I would speak to my wife about it. I would say, you know what, this is what I want. I like this, and yeah, it's also a tip for many people. You know, you get tips on the love, like you say, the love language. You know what is triggering your wife, what she likes. So it's a surprise. Like Pastor Kemi loves gifts, but Pastor Tim will surprise her with a gift, and she's like, wow, you know, I just mentioned I like this, but I didn't have to beg for it.
I just mentioned I like a lot of things.
I know.
The issue of generosity, please, I need to say to the singles, before you get married, you need to check that person is generous. You really do. I love to tell this story. You see, my wife, before we got married, right? See this fine girl over here? There was a time where I was crazy, and then we had broken up. We were still just after university, and I was acting like an idiot, and we had broken up, and then some guy decided to take my wife out to dinner.
How dare he?
So can you imagine the audacity? So this guy was going to take my wife out to look. We're broken up, but when my wife told me she was going on that date, I wanted to die. I wanted to die. But the guy, look, you need to hear this. So they go on the date. When the date was over, I called my wife and I go, well, she wasn't my wife then. I go, hey, hi. How did it go? She said, well, how did what go? You know, as in, it's none of your business.
Uh-huh.
You know, but she saw that, look, this guy was dying. Yeah. So she indulged me. She said they got there. After they ordered and they had eaten, the guy then decides to propose to her. He says to her, you know, love you. Can we date? Can we be in a relationship? You know? And my wife says, look, I just got out of one now. I'm not ready to go into one. You know, so give me time. And the guy goes, okay. We will just remain friends and let's see where this leads. Okay. And then he goes, to pay for this meal, I haven't been paid yet. So can you borrow me, you know, just loan me the money. Then, you know, once I get paid, boom, I will refund.
He's marriage material.
To every single out there, I need to change my civil position. Once you see that the person is stingy, run. Run for your life. Whether it's the woman, whether it's the man, you'll say, but they pay all the bills. We're not talking about when you pay the things you're supposed to pay for.
Right.
I mean, that is your responsibility. If you're not doing that, then you are not ready for marriage in the first place. So there are the things that you are supposed to pay for. We're talking about the extras. We're talking about, you know, the having fun here. And like Pastor Aldrin said, you don't need to break the bank to do that. You have fun based on where you are. But it's necessary to do that. If that is not being done, by the time you get married and you say, for example, my mother needs X, Y, and Z, the spouse will tell you that's not our responsibility. You say, okay, my younger brother needs, I'm not saying you carry all your money and you go to extended family, but things happen. You know things happen. And so you need to ensure that you are in a relationship where there is mutual generosity here. And you need to test it. Test it. So that can happen. I remember I found myself in a scenario more than once. Thank God we rehearsed this, we discussed this, and we were able to prove this with each other before we got married. Over the years, there have been times where her family have been, maybe her dad, for example, have been in a pickle. And we send money home. We had an agreement, so we send money home every month.
Yeah.
But her dad needed a bit more money because something was up. Okay, maybe a lot more. And then my wife came and sat me down and said, can we do this? Can we do that? You know, my immediate thinking was, what option do we have?
Right.
Yes.
You know, this is important. And thank God. Because not too long after that, my mom needed something. You know, look, even though I expected that she will agree, I was not afraid to put it on the table. I didn't have to hide and get it done, you know? And we're able to do that because there is generosity here.
Right.
Singles. That guy, that woman, better be generous or you will be in a very hot pickle in the future.
And just that, just that image of generosity, just being able to say, what are your needs? What are my needs? How do we meet each other's needs? Feeds into supporting each other's goals and dreams, because it just encompasses all of that, doesn't it, Pastor Kemi?
Yeah. You have to be your spouse's loudest cheerleader.
Amen.
Pastor Tim is my loudest cheerleader.
Amen.
When I don't believe in myself, he believes so much in me, and that is how it should be for every spouse. They have to know that you've got their back.
Yeah.
You know, when they share their dreams with you, you should be able to share your dreams, your aspirations, your goals with your spouse.
Yeah.
And and the other person shouldn't make them feel like this is nothing. You know, don't minimize what they're talking about. Don't invalidate their dreams. Rather support them. How can I help you achieve this goal? Oh, I only have a matric. I want to go back to school, but you've got 3 kids, and your husband is saying to you, it's not possible. You're working full time. You've got a kid. You've got kids. Blah blah blah. No, support them. Say, okay, how can we do this? How can I help you to reach this goal? How can I help you to fulfill this dream? We have to support one another's goals as spouses. You know, if you're single, and you share your dreams and your goals with the person you're dating, and the person laughs at you or trivializes your dreams, that's a red flag. If
Yeah.
they make you kind of feel unimportant, or you're working, like you have a great job, you've got visions of being a CEO, first female CEO, or running your own company or whatever, and the person says, no, when I get married, I want my wife to be a stay-at-home mom. That's a red flag. Don't say, no, he will change after we marry. Run for your life. He's not going to support your dreams. And vice versa, if he's the man that says, oh, I want to be X, Y, and Z, and the woman's like, no, this is what I want. You need to ensure that your dreams and your vision align before marriage. If you're not going in the same direction, you're going to have issues in your marriage when you get married. And if you're married, like I said, be your wife's and your husband's loudest cheerleader. Support their dreams. Talk about what you guys want to do, what the person wants to do, and ask, how can I help you achieve these dreams? You have to be growing together in your career, in your business, spiritually, emotionally, in every area of your life. Both of you have to be growing. So it's very important that you support each other in every area of your life. If not, the marriage will be skewed because one person will be so far ahead of the other person.
Yeah.
And that just breeds a lot of resentment and bitterness in marriage. So ensure that you're working together to achieve your dreams and your goals as a couple.
You know, in my parents' relationship, my father found himself traveling a lot. And my mother, they got married very early, and my mother had not finished her varsity. My father explained that he sat my mother down and said, look, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I also want us to have all our children. When we have had the number of children we say we're going to have, and this one is X number of years in age, I promise I will support you. Whatever you want to do from that point, I will back you up. My mother agreed to the arrangement, and my father kept his word. When my baby sister, well, she's not a baby anymore, when my last born had reached a certain age, my mother went back to university. She wanted to own her own school, so she went back, she studied education. My father rearranged his itinerary so that he will take her to school, to varsity, and pick her up and bring her home. Later I realized that it wasn't just purely out of love, it was out of fear. Because my mother was a catch, still is. You know, that's what he said anyway. And then subsequently, when she graduated, he opened a school for her.
Awesome.
And she pioneered. So she supported his dreams,
That's beautiful.
and he supported hers. You need to be doing that for each other. You need, and if your spouse does not have a dream, help them find one. Help them find one. It gives a sense of life. When there's something, sense of purpose, when there is something that you desire and you're working towards, it's a necessity for all of us.
Thank you, Pastor Tim. One of the issues that we have discussed and Pastor Tim touched on was, of course, gender-based violence this evening. And I think it would be remiss for us not to take responsibility and give you the details that he stipulated. So there is a gender-based violence hotline. If you're not taking down this number, we'll certainly post it. It's 0800 428 428. So if you're facing challenges and you need someone to talk to, or you need to report something and you just don't feel confident enough, because I know many of us are too afraid sometimes to step into a police station, remember this number. It's the Gender-Based Violence Hotline, 0800 428 428. We're almost done our conversation, Pastor, but a lot of us have heard you say that M in the word marriage stands for middle ground. Break it down.
I think I'll close shop with that because we've exhausted our time. There is always a middle ground. It's not about. It cannot be in a marriage about win or lose.
Yeah.
Did you marry your enemy? Did you marry an opponent? Is this a boxing match? Or is this a partner to work and walk with you to a glorious destination? If that is the case, then the idea has to be, and I think it was it not Stephen Covey who made it popular, the concept of the fact that in every negotiation you need to find a win-win. I've been doing this now, counseling couples for shy of 20 years. there is always a win-win. There is always a win-win. You can always, if you are willing to follow through with some of the rules that we throw out there on conflict resolution, you can actually find what we call the middle ground. The middle ground is that place where I might not have gotten everything that I wanted. Maybe there's an issue on the table. I didn't get everything that I wanted, but what I did not get was not my deal breaker. You also did not get everything you wanted, but what you did not was not your deal breaker, and we were able to find each other somewhere.
Yeah.
Whenever we don't find a middle ground, it is usually because somebody is unwilling, to budge. And you can't have gotten into a marriage if your thinking was or is my way or the highway. That is abusive. If it's always your way, because you think that your way is always the right way, then something is wrong. You are a bully. Nobody might have called you that until now, but hi, bully, you are. And so what needs to happen is you need to learn the rules, get the rules for conflict resolution. We have, maybe the next one we will do, maybe in another month or two. Don't worry, we've tried to master all the hiccups
Technology.
and the government will get it right. Maybe we will deal with conflict resolution. Just address how do you fight and fight fair. I think it was Pastor Aldrin that said so. How do you do that? I want to encourage you. It's not about getting your way. It's about getting our way. There is your way. There's Pastor Kemi's way. There is my way. There is our way.
Yeah.
And that our way is the right way. When we get couples to get married, for those of you under counseling, brace yourself. When we bring couples to get married, we say they should buy 3 candles. Remember that?
Yes.
Ladies, they buy 3 candles. One is 2 slim candles and then 1 big fat candle we call the unity candle.
Yes.
And then we have a candlelight ceremony where after everything is done, they come together, light their individual candles, and then they walk to the unity candle. They both light the unity candle. When the unity candle is lit, they blow out their candles. What they are saying is, as an individual, I have become one with you. It's no longer me against the world. It's us against the world, if you should be going against the world in the first place. But it is now us. That means we find the center place that both of us are happy with. All right? Now, with that said, if you have been trying to work out your relationship and it's not working out, seek help. Seek help. I mentioned this earlier on about how it's sad. You know, everyone on this panel right now, including Pastor Jerry, is married. When you want to learn to become a plumber, you go to artisan school for years. And even when you graduate, you then go and do apprenticeship. You know, you want to learn to become, my wife is an economist. She did 4 years, at varsity. And then started at a low level in I think then it was then Arthur Anderson, started and then grew up the ranks. Then learned and now is now an expert consultant in more ways than one. But there is no school to go to for you to learn how to be married. Yet we say that marriage is so important. We say marriage is for a lifetime. How long is your career? Maybe 30 years, 40 years career. Your marriage is supposed to be till death do you part. That is the idea, right? And yet there is no system in place for you to go and you will be taken through a consistent approach on how to make your marriage work. We need to solve that. My prayer is that one day we will start a marriage university.
Wow.
A marriage university. It is something I'm hoping that before the end of 2021, Corona or no Corona, we will start a marriage university where we have courses, extended courses, short courses, extended courses, where if you are going to get married, you enroll in that marriage university for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And when we are done with you, we give you a certificate and we say you are qualified to marry. Some people should not be given any certificate of anything whatsoever. They should, because I've had to deal with some couples. I'm like, who said that this was okay? Who said this relationship was okay? But God willing, if you are in need of help, if it's not working, you've tried, pick your phone, call somebody, ask for professional intervention, ask for it. I'm not as available as I used to be, and the reason is because I have become a lot less patient. I don't know why. You need to give me more loving. I've become a lot. I'm just kidding. I've become a lot less. I've become a lot less patient. I've realized that some people are not coming for help. They're coming for validation.
Sure.
They're coming for someone to validate their nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you don't validate it, they get angry, you know, and then it exacerbates. And I'm reaching that place. The closer I get to 50, the more I want to just tell people, you know, you're just stupid. You know you are. You know, this is not, let's forget this counseling. You know, you are not okay. And my wife keeps saying, you know, you can't do that. That's not right. You're a man of God. You can't do that. And I agree. So right now I'm not as available, but we have teams available. You see the Baileys that are here, the patience this couple have, it is amazing. Pastor Jerry's
Patience?
Pastor Jerry's patience is amazing. But we can't solve the entire problem of the entire nation.
No.
But so there are resources out there. When I was having a personal challenge, I couldn't call them. They submit to me. They're accountable to me. I went above my head and I called somebody who called me in and worked me through stuff. We all have need for somebody to work us through stuff.
Yes.
You don't have all the answers. Don't deceive yourself. Men, hear me, you don't. If you did, your marriage will not be the way it is. There is help out there. Reach out. If I can't help, if I can, I will. Don't get me wrong. If I can't because my hands are full, we'll direct you immediately to where you can get help. All right. I think we're done for today.
We are. I pretty much think we not only did we get through all the questions, but we'd like to thank those of you who stayed online with us. We will, in fact, also be putting this onto YouTube for you to be able to access at any point, because you might need a solution to one of these questions in your life. As a church, we have our website, but we're also very active on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at the City of Zion, or Pastor Tim Grage on Facebook at Pastor Tim Grage, or on YouTube at the City of Zion, or on a Sunday morning, our services at 9 a.m. while at the moment our online services are at 9 a.m. on Pastor Tim Grage's platform, and then on the City of Zion platform are you gossiping? Are you chatting? Are you the intimacy? I'm trying to say something important here. We also have Children's Church, and Children's Church is online at the moment. We have 3 classes. Please take a look at it. It's at 10:30 on the City of Zion page on YouTube for kids between the ages of 3 and 12. We hope that we can edify your spirits and we can take care of the souls of your children. And if you've enjoyed Tango and Tim, we'd love to hear from you. We have just answered 24 questions. However, we know that there are more. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to answering those questions.
Let me close out with a prayer. You know, someone just wrote on the YouTube page, Pastor G was my level 1 teacher. What a patient soul. Shout out to you, Pastor G. Shout out. I want to close with a prayer, particularly for those of you on YouTube, those of you watching in from on Zoom, right? But my wife said that at some point in time, we didn't have sound and there were some important questions that we missed out. Unfortunately, we can't go back to all of them. What we will do though, we will take all the footage, we will edit it, and then we will take this version down and put a more comprehensive, more appropriate version that has everything up online. So you will get the whole 411. But my wife says I should talk, before I pray, about openness. There are 4 areas of openness. I think we didn't have sound when I mentioned that.
Yeah.
There are 4 areas of openness. And in these areas of openness, in any of these areas that we are not open with our spouses, from that area your marriage will bleed. It's not a curse. It is not that I am a witch doctor or even a prophet. It is because it is the rule of thumb. in any of these 4 areas I'm about to mention, that you are not open with your spouse, from that area there will be crisis. When you are not open with your spouse concerning your finances, it will become a problem. Did you hear me? Now, when we talked about money earlier, please understand there are some homes where there was no need to actually budget because there was a lot of money. There was a lot of money, so there was no need. Anything that the wife needed, it was available, or the husband, it was available. But even in those scenarios, when a decision is going to be made that could impact their collective finances, yes, there's been a lot of money, but you are going to mortgage this, you're going to mortgage the house, you're going to blah, blah, blah. A decision that could change the texture of your collective finances. At that point, you now need to disclose. So, back to our thoughts. You must be open with your money. You must be open with your time. This is where you are, where you are going. I said earlier on that if you are not, if at the end of every day, if your routine is going to change the next day, your spouse should be informed. You should let your spouse know that, okay, today I'm not going to work, today I'm going X, Y, and Z. There are spouses that don't know for days where their other half is. That is irresponsible. You cannot be married and be living life like a single person. That is wicked. That is mean. Why did you take this person off the shelf?
This is not a commune.
No, it's not a commune. No. You're just going, this is irresponsible. Why take the person off the shelf if you are not willing to commit to the person? Now you take the person off the shelf, the person is no longer available, and then you are vanishing with your friends or whoever, whatever you deem important. And your other half has no idea where you are. It's irresponsible. You must be open with your time. Where are you going to be? Then number 3, who are you going to be with? When you have dealings with individuals, male or female, of the opposite sex or the same sex, and the individual that is playing in your space, that is affecting your routine, that is affecting your times with your family, your spouse must be aware of that. And actually, listen carefully. You must come to the space and place where your spouse even approves. You will say, but isn't this control? This is not control. I guarantee you that some people, it's responsibility and accountability. Your spouse, you should be able to agree that this is good. I remember my father has a friend whom my mother does not like one bit. So my father had to edit the kind of relationship he had with this individual. He didn't kick the individual out, but he changed. The individual couldn't come through to the house anymore. He respected my mother's wishes, respected the negative impact this man was bringing to the family, and made changes. You must be willing to make changes. Relationships, be open. Number four, areas of concern. Things that are troubling you. I say this particularly to us men. Sometimes when you are burdened by something, we want to process it because you don't want to share with your wife, and then your wife starts telling you, so have you considered this? Have you considered that? That can be really annoying, But the point is, the minute your spouse begins to say is something wrong, it means what you are going through, because you might be thinking, I don't want to bother her. You might be thinking, it doesn't concern her. If your spouse says to you, him or her, something is wrong, what is wrong? And they're right that something is wrong, and you don't share it with them, you are unfair. Because something wrong with you is now bothering your spouse, but only you are aware of what it is. That is selfish. You might do what my wife and I have done at different times, where we share what it is, but we say, right now I'm not looking for advice. And there's nothing wrong with that. You say, I'm not looking for advice, but this is what's going on. Let me try and think it through. And when I'm going to make a decision, we'll have a conversation about it. And you can do the same. But in these 4 areas, if you will be open in these 4 areas, I guarantee you there will be less reasons for fights. Less reasons for fights. Thank you for your time. I want to pray for you. Let's pray. Everlasting Father, I thank you for everyone that has tuned in. I thank you for the singles. I thank you for those that are married. I thank you for those that are in a committed relationship. I bless them. I speak your counsel over them. For those, oh God, that are going through difficulties in their relationship, I speak divine intervention. Amen. I ask, oh God, that even right now, that your glorious power will envelop them, will invade their space. That the wisdom that is required to help them navigate from these areas of crisis, that they will suddenly receive in the name of Jesus. Father, I ask that you will ride on the things that we have said, that you will ride upon them like an aircraft, that you will ride them to a landing port of their lives. Let it bear fruit. Let it take root downwards. Let it bear fruit in their experiences as couples.
Yes.
Father, I speak for the singles. They will not make a mistake. They will not be led by their emotions. They will make the right decisions, choose the right spouse. Father, I thank you because I know you have heard.
Yes, Lord.
I bless them.
Yes, Lord.
They will come back and they will say, our lives are better because of all of this. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Catch me on Sunday, I think.
Absolutely.
Catch me on
9
Sunday,
a.m.
9 a.m. Also on this YouTube platform. It will be a great to be able to bless you, even from a pulpit, from a whole different platform.
Yeah.
You see, on that pulpit, we don't play like this. It's a very serious.
And our daily devotions do.
Oh yes.
Daily devotionals, 8 a.m. every morning, every weekday morning on Facebook at Pastor Morphe Grage. Please join us every weekday morning. It's live. You will be blessed. Bye-bye.
Amen.
Wow, I think that went well.
It did.
We good. I think it went well. I think. You know. Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Ooh, Master Kent, give me a blanket, give me a jersey.
Are you cold?
I am freezing cold.
did so well.
I
Oh my
am
goodness.
beyond every part of me.